Hi, I'm Anatole, and this is my reaction video to The Marvelous Miss Maisel Season 1, Episode 1, titled Pilot. And full disclosure, I have seen Season 1 and Season 2, but for my reaction to the video, I'm going to try to do spoiler-free. So I won't make comments about anything that's happened past the episode I'm watching. So this is going to be my reaction to the first episode of season 1. I won't say anything about any event that happens after this episode, and I'm going to try not even hint. So if you are watching this as you watch the Amazon Prime series, fear not, my intention is to not spoil anything for you, and that you can watch this as you watch the series. And if you wish to, I have full reviews for season 2 already on my YouTube page. That's the main reason why I'm doing this, because season 3, as I record this, will be coming up in a few months, and I have full intention of recording my reaction reviews to season 3. So I just wanted to make sure I got the whole season covered before season 3 comes out. So that's pretty much. Oh, sorry. The episode title is Pilot. Here's season episode information. It was released in. It doesn't say. Oh yes, March 17th, 2017, and it has a score of 8.8 on IMDb. Writer and director of the pilot is Amy Sherman Palladino, and also some of the episodes later on are written and directed by her husband, Daniel Palladino. And I'm not quite clear if the episodes are solely the work of the credited writers. Often there will be other people who help with jokes, especially with a comedy series. So it's my hunch that even though Amy is credited, Daniel probably helped at least look over the episode, and with Daniel's episodes, I'm sure Amy gave it the once-over to make sure that his writing and hers matched, to maybe give help with some of the one-liners. So anyway, join me after the intro, and then we will do my reaction to the pilot episode. See you in a few. So one thing you can say about the production is spared no expense. I don't know if I've ever seen in my life monogram butter pats. Have you ever seen a half-naked woman yell fucking Christ balls on TV before? I love Gilbert Gottfried. I do.
Tell all of you that I love this man. And yes, there is shrimp in the egg rolls.
I love that sound of crashing glass after she says, and yes, there's shrimp in the egg rolls.
Then we'll fix it. I don't know what I do without you.
I like the color scheme. They've given her room, her outfit, the purple, and then his office was the blue. So those contrasting colors will pop. Your eye will notice how different they are. You can really see the money here. Well, first of all, getting that Barbra Streisand song would not have been cheap. And then all these extras along the street, that's money. Well, all this music, well, the licensing could not have been cheap. I should try to find what the budget was for this, but I really don't think Amazon releases that information. It's got to have been, I'm guessing 10 million an episode? I want to say between 8 to 10 million an episode. Trying to think if there's ever been a male comedian who had his wife write material for him. I can't think of one. I know that there was the famous painter, the big eyes, Keane, I think was his name, and his wife was really one doing all the painting. But I can't think of a situation, historical situation, where there was a male comedian who collaborated with his wife where the wife was writing material. It just occurred to me George Burns and Gracie, but I don't think Gracie was writing the jokes for George Burns. I don't even know if they wrote their jokes. I imagine they had comedy writers. But that's the closest I can come thinking off the top of my head. I like the way that they are showing the role of women in 1958 America. And she's not complaining about it, but they're showing us just how much she has to bend her over to support her husband. Making the food, arranging the time, losing sleep and being ready for him to be at his beck and call, more or less. He said it so well, the way they've staged it. Matching lamps. I just noticed the lamp near the TV and the lamp near Imogene are the same. Matching lamps.
I had to work straight through lunch so I couldn't get downtown to get a time for tonight.
So here's a scene where the actors are not talking to each other, and because it's similar to the scene earlier in the program, they probably filmed them at the same time. So here the actor Michael Zegan had to make the first phone call. He's very calm because that's the scene earlier in the show, and then cut, finish. Half hour later, 10 minutes later, he's doing the same scene, not talking to the actress and having to be a lot more frantic.
You'll have to bring me.
Let's measure that forehead.
That's good. I never caught that joke before. But her saying he's crazy is hypocritical because she's a little crazy for measuring the baby's forehead.
Go. A hole here, a hole here, 2 holes here. I mean, how does this happen?
It's probably a moth.
A moth?
Yes.
What moth?
Ted the moth. Dying his ice holes. That's his signature.
I think it's.
You're hearing a tone in her voice we haven't heard from her before. It's really great as the actress. When she said Ted the moth, she had that sarcastic tone. Spokane.
Holes in my sweater.
You're waiting for the punchline. He's really built. Is Mr. Zegan.
Yes. Married.
The scene is really good because you can see that one of them is funnier than the other, because Midge, even in the middle of this tragedy, is still able to make really funny jokes, whereas Joel is unable to. So if this were to take place today, I could still see the same conversation happening where the parents blame the wife. But I think also, pretty likely, more than likely, people wouldn't blame the wife. But in 1958, I totally see that that's their first reaction. What did you do? That's a great shot. It brings out her loneliness because it's all in that blue, and then the empty chairs, and a feast set up that will never happen. That's pretty cool, that cigarette poster on the subway. The audience starting to warm up.
Everything I've counted on is gone. You're feeling better now?
She's starting to build into telling an actual joke. And she's doing impressions. And I just love how it's just stream of conscious rant on her part, but slowly the jokes get a little better, and then the audience starts to warm up until she starts really doing a routine. I just love the way it builds up like that. So there was that woman leaving. I wonder if she was a plant for the cops or just got offended. I'd never noticed that before. When she does that, she undresses. There's a woman who runs out. So that must be the reason why the cops came in right then.
I'd say pass the fucking salt.
Luke Kirby is so good as Lenny Bruce.
Gone.
That last part of her just breathing in, that big sigh, it's so wonderful. Okay, well, join me in a second and I'll give you my brief review for episode 1, pilot episode of Marvelous Miss Maisel. Welcome back, and here is my brief review for the episode 1 of Marvelous Miss Maisel pilot episode. What I really like about it is the writing is really good, and that Amazon gave the show enough of a budget to not only support the story, but to really dazzle us. I'm certain that one of the things that this show is referring to are the Doris Day Rock Hudson films, which were well known for the colorful, the way that they use color and the setting and the budget. So you want to be drawn into that world, and we are, because the costumes are so colorful, the set design is so well done, and then of course all that needs to have a good story, and this has that in spades. The way that it references the period and shows us the way that the men and women, the way their roles were kind of stuck and just at that point where women's liberation would begin to challenge a lot of that. And we're given a character who's not a typical person. So seeing a woman who aspires to be a stand-up comic is very unusual. And as has been remarked by others, I think that Joan Rivers is pretty clearly meant to be the sort of character, the icon that they're referencing, or at least drawing upon for Midge. And it was not easy for her, being one of the early women, to break in. And so I think that there is that sense that her and Joel are stuck in these roles that they're not happy with, and they can't articulate why. And for Joel, that gets expressed in a lot of anger. And for Midge, it's just expressed in that sort of acuity that her role gives her, that she's gone to university, she's very sharp-witted, she had a very privileged upbringing. And her father is a college professor, and her mom knows French. So there should be more to her than just being the dutiful housewife. And we see by the end of the episode, neither of them are happy with that role, with their roles. Midge was, I think, but maybe secretly was not. And we get the sense that of that, in that anger that she has when she gets on stage, that women weren't supposed to show that kind of anger. That was part of what was expected of them, that they would not. The stereotype of women, the gender stereotype, was that if they're an angry woman, then there's something wrong with them, they're crazy. And we get to see that she's found a place where she can utilize that anger, and that's in her act. And I love the way the act just slowly unfurls. At first, she's not saying things that are funny. She's only speaking of her experience. But as it goes on and you see the crowd begin to warm up, she starts delivering lines that are humor. And I have to wonder if all of that was Amy Sherman Palladino's writing, or if her husband Daniel Palladino looked it over and gave some suggestions. Because I feel like between those two, Amy Sherman Palladino is really great at writing character, and Daniel's really good at the one-liners. And I actually prefer, between the two, I prefer Amy Sherman Palladino. I think she's the better writer. Oh my God. She is the better writer, but Daniel Palladino is really good at comedy. That's how they met. As far as I know, they met on the set of Roseanne, and Daniel Palladino had worked on Simpsons before working on Roseanne. And if I'm not mistaken, Roseanne was Amy Sherman Palladino's first writing job. And so between the two, Amy Sherman Palladino writes jokes and Daniel Palladino can write character, but they definitely have their strengths. So I've wondered for a while who was responsible for that last scene, for her first experience on stand-up. But anyway, those are my brief thoughts. I really love this pilot episode. It's just so well done. And a lot of times you see a drop-off in the production of a series after the pilot, but I said I wouldn't hint or spoil. I think I can speak about the production values of the series After this, the production value is equally as good. There is no drop off in the production value, so it's great. Amazon has always supported the series with the budget that it needs. And that's it. So I hope you'll join me for my reaction and review to episode 2 of season 1. That's all for now. Take care and be well. Goodbye.